Robservations with Robert, Meyer, Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, your sommelier, and all that of sci-fi and cinema, Robert Meyer Burnett. And I am Robcasting at you, imagination connoisseurs, you members of this, the Post-Geek Singularity community. It is Midnighter, episode 32. You know, I left the Midnighter for a month, and people asked me to bring it back. So I've done one. This is the second show since I brought it back. I like this. Maybe not every night, because that's a little tough to do, but Wednesdays are pretty good for me, because I don't have a John Campea show in the morning. And, you know, I never know what I'm going to talk about. You know what I'm going to talk about right now, though? Steven Spielberg. That's right. Steven Spielberg. Arguably the GOAT. There's a lot of directors. I mean, he's one of my favorite directors. He's not my favorite director of all time. That's Stanley Kubrick. But Steven Spielberg took over from Stanley Kubrick and directed AI. And there's a lot more of Kubrick in it than people really realize. But, you know, Steven Spielberg, when I think about Spielberg, I think about the fact that he's pretty much been around my entire life making things. Like, I didn't know when he was working for Universal Television, doing things back in the day, like Marcus Welby, MD, and Night Gallery, when he directed the segment Eyes for the pilot of Night Gallery, or he directed an episode of Columbo. But his first movie was Duel. It was a TV movie. I mean, he directed a few, Something Evil, Savage, until he directed his first feature in 1974, The Sugarland Express. But, I mean, his first feature that he directed was Duel, and that was actually released theatrically in some markets, which was an astonishing debut film. I mean, really, you know, he directed his first episode of TV in 1970. So Spielberg has been around pretty much honing his craft since I've been alive. That's a long time. I mean, he's been directing for over 50 years. This is his 51st year. And if you go back to his shorts, he did a short that he was at least credited with on the IMDb in 1959. So he has been directing for 62 years now. What is that, 62 years, 63 years? If you go back to him as a film student or just as a student of cinema. And the reason I started thinking about him is, like, in my whole life, for the most part, I mean, when I was 8, I saw Jaws in the theater in 75. And, you know, after Jaws, we got Close Encounters, obviously, 3 years later. After Close Encounters, we had 1941, then Raiders. And it's pretty amazing. Then, of course, he became a producer. After Raiders, his career, I mean, he was cemented. Him and George Lucas teamed up. The man who made Close Encounters and Jaws and the man who made Star Wars teamed up and made Raiders. But that was 1981. We just celebrated Raiders' 40th anniversary. We talked about it on Robservations, and it's amazing to me that today, a trailer dropped for Spielberg's West Side Story. We had a teaser, but this was the full-on trailer, and I was amazed at how little it registered. You know, we hear about people, how many millions of views trailers ratchet up in the mere hours since they dropped. And then, of course, everyone's talking about them over social media. I would have thought that Spielberg, who hasn't made a movie since 2018, we haven't seen a Spielberg film in 3 years, that it might have more resonance than it did. And not only that, but it's, of course, another interpretation of the Broadway play West Side Story, which is, of course, based in, it's Romeo and Juliet. And the original film, co-directed actually by Robert Wise and Jerome Robbins, is one of my favorite films. It's certainly one of my favorite musicals, but I love the movie. I've seen it in 70 millimeter. I saw it projected. I think I've seen it projected in 74 times in my life. I think the first time was at the Seattle International Film Festival during their 70 millimeter festival, probably in 84 or 85 was the first time I saw West Side Story projected in 70 at the glorious Cinerama in Seattle. It's not a dome, it's just the Cinerama. I don't know what the disposition of the Cinerama is in Seattle. It was owned by Paul Allen's company Vulcan, and then, of course, after his death, it was shut down. It was the best theater in downtown Seattle that still remained, all the big theaters that I would go to. The King, where I saw Close Encounters. The UA 150, where I saw everything from Star Wars to Dawn of the Dead to Alien to Buckaroo Banzai to Big Trouble in Little China. That was demolished. It's my favorite theater. But Spielberg has been a mainstay in my life. And I've always said to people, I'm like, pop culture lasts 20 years. It's got a half-life of 20 years. And yet Spielberg, arguably the greatest film director perhaps who ever lived in terms of being in command of the language of cinema. He was born to it. He was a savant. And you just have to watch that West Side Story trailer. And my God, I mean, there's nobody even working on that level today. Every shot with intent, every shot with design. You just don't see that anymore. And it was really interesting to watch that trailer and realize, my God, I mean, there are a few, I would say Martin Scorsese's one, David Fincher certainly is one, Paul Thomas Anderson perhaps. We have very few really brilliant auteurs left. I mean, there's a lot of journeyman people, sure. But for somebody, I mean, you look at every single shot and every single composition and every single camera move. There have been few people like Steven Spielberg in the world who have been that amazing. And yet, I watched the West Side Story trailer, just the trailer, with my jaw on the floor today. My God, I looked at this and what an amazing example of work. And I wonder, certainly in our space, the movie pundit space, barely a pin drop registering the trailer. I mean, if Thanos isn't in it, no one seems to care. And it seemed to me that was sort of odd because Steven Spielberg has been such a part of my life growing up, so influential. I mean, even when he became a producer and was producing things like Gremlins in 84, I mean, summer of 84 belonged to Spielberg. You had Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and you had Gremlins. And if you think about the summer of 82, I mean, he follows up his triumph with Raiders of the Lost Ark a year later, producing Poltergeist and directing E.T. My God. I mean, what a neighborhood that must have been to live in. Poltergeist's on one end of town, and bordering on the forest, you've got alien creatures. I mean, it was, and that was in 82. That was 39 years ago. I mean, next year's the 40th anniversary of E.T., which is such a strange thing to think about because, again, of how much of my life has been taken up by Steven Spielberg's genius. Now, it's interesting. You look out at his output over the last, I mean, to be honest, I understand why he has not been the powerhouse or he's not thought of in the same way as other filmmakers in this day and age. I mean, even though the movies he's produced, you look at his list of his producing credits here on the IMDb. If you look at his producing credits, he has 181 producing credits. 181 producing credits in TV, and I mean, Taken, the TV miniseries, Band of Brothers, of course, all these documentaries, The Haunting. He's got an uncredited executive producer credit on The Haunting. Pinky, Elmira, and the Brain, a TV series short, executive producer, 25 episodes. I mean, The Lost Children of Berlin, a documentary. Toonsylvania, pardon me, Freakazoid, Sequest, The Tiny Toon Adventures. I mean, my God, amazing stories, 45 episodes. It's just, the man was incredibly prolific. But as a director, what's really interesting about him as a director, he just really hasn't done much. If you look at the last decade, after Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull in 2008, he directed half of The Adventures of Tintin, Warhorse, Lincoln, 2 movies, Lincoln and Bridge of Spies, which I think is as good as anything he's ever made. Then he did The BFG and The Post, which he also directed, but both of those films, they have their, and that was 2015, 2016, 2017, and then he directed Ready Player One in 2018, and then after that, he started making West Side Story, and his next movie is sort of a roman à clef on his own life, The Fablemans, which is the story of basically his own autobiography. That's interesting. But, I mean, he hasn't made anything that certainly had the cultural impact. Maybe for younger audiences, Ready Player One, or the adaptation of Ernie Klein's book. And I liked Ready Player One. I thought it was pretty good. But, you know, more like journeyman Spielberg, I guess. But I just watched that West Side Story trailer today, and it knocked me out. And I went and I looked. I was like, is anybody going to write anything about this? And, of course, Nerdist did. Nerdist did an article. Passions run hot in the new West Side Story trailer. West Side Story is a story about passion and what it makes us do, both good and bad. And passions run hot in the newest trailer for Steven Spielberg's remake of the classic musical as love pushes hate closer to a showdown that will change countless lives forever. It's easily the best trailer yet. It looks different enough to stand on its own while still feeling inspired by the original 1961 film. Whether it can live up to the 10-time Oscar winner remains to be seen. And, of course, Rita Moreno, who was so smoking hot in the first film, she's in it as well, which is kind of a nice homage. IndieWire mentioned the dropping of the trailer. Disney and 20th Century Fox Studios have debuted the official trailer for Spielberg's West Side Story, the project based on the iconic Leonard Bernstein and Stephen Sondheim musical of the same name. Cast Baby Driver star Ansel Elgort and newcomer Rachel Ziegler as star-crossed lovers Tony and Maria, respectively. Anticipation for the film is high, as the 1961 film adaptation of the musical was a cultural juggernaut with 10 Oscar wins. Is it, though? Is anticipation for the film high? I don't feel that at all. And I wonder, I mean, maybe, you know, we've had musicals. In the Heights didn't do so well during the pandemic, but La La Land certainly did. And I'm wondering, as I was watching the trailer, I thought it was beautiful craft. I loved what I was watching. But, I mean, you know, I look at Spielberg, that was at the height of his powers, and clearly he still is a filmmaker at the height of his powers. But I wonder, is anyone going to go see this movie? Does anybody care? I certainly do, but I wonder, do any of you? Is anyone excited about West Side Story? I think we all kind of should be, because it is a master at the top of his game. I mean, on one hand, you've got Ridley Scott coming out. Ridley Scott's in his 80s. He's got The Last Duel coming out. Clint Eastwood, Cry Macho opens in 2 days, or it's on HBO Max too. He's 91, and he's starring and directing in movies. And Spielberg's up there as well, and he's making films. I mean, these guys have been making movies Clint Eastwood's been making movies certainly since before I was alive. Ridley Scott's first feature was The Duelists, after coming off of commercials with, of course, Harvey Keitel and Keith Carradine, which is a beautiful film. That was in the late 70s. I think 77 maybe? And then, of course, he made Alien, that came out in 1979. But I wonder, do people still feel good about Spielberg? Do you still think of Spielberg? I was talking on an earlier stream with Tom from Midnight's Edge, and of course, one of his favorite movies, if not his favorite movie of all time, was Jaws. And Jaws still holds up. And to me, the demarcation point between the whole modern era of film and everything else is Jaws. Everything before Jaws, pre-Jaws, is sort of a different era. Jaws and post-Jaws is the modern era of cinema, at least to me. And that era has lasted almost 50 years. I wonder. I was just curious, what does everybody think about Steven Spielberg? What are your perceptions about where Spielberg is as far as a filmmaker? Is he still relevant to you? Are you curious about West Side Story? And I want to know. So I'm going to drop in the I'm going to drop in the link to come on the show if you have a microphone and a camera and they are at all decent. There you go. It's the live stream chat. The link is in the chat, and I invite anyone to come on to discuss the legacy of Steven Spielberg and what it's like. Are you excited about West Side Story? Do you want to see West Side Story? Is it something maybe you're not interested? I mean, for me, I grew up with West Side Story, so. But I just think I was, again, knocked out by the work that I saw in the trailer. But I can already see, like, here in the chat, I'm looking at what people are saying. And, I mean, Lance Bergson says, "Hi, Rob. I've been meaning to ask if you were aware of the upcoming French film Titane, but my question was answered today on the John Campea Show. Looks intense." Yes, the director of Raw, Julia Ducournau, body horror film extraordinaire, Entertain, or Titanium as we know it in America. By the way, if you're interested, it sounds to me it's my most eagerly awaited film of October. Can't wait to see it. We shall see. I don't know. Still waiting to see if anyone wants to come on board and talk about it. 200 Watt Studio says Robert Wise's West Side Story is perfect. Spielberg is doing a vanity project just like Gus Van Sant's reshoot of Psycho. It's not needed. It's another remake. Well, I mean, it was a Broadway show, so it's a reinterpretation of the Broadway show. Was it not needed? I mean, that's a good question. We have so many remakes and reboots and all that. I don't know if it wasn't needed. I'm really curious to see Spielberg. I've wanted to see Spielberg make a musical since the opening number of Temple of Doom. After all, anything goes. Riley Rayburn sends in a super chat and says, "Hey, Rob, if you've got a minute, check Twitter. I've just tweeted you a little gift for Brian's birthday tomorrow. There's a chance he'll appreciate it. Yes, Brian's birthday is September 17th. That will be Friday, September 17th, and I'm happy to do that." So, yeah. Anyway, I was also going to ask Dieter Bastian to come on. Oh, here we go. Tom Jr. Jackson says, "I got the chills from the West Side Story trailer. It's like a throwback to being made in the 50s, plus Rita Moreno. Hell yes. And my God, was there anyone sexier than Rita Moreno in West Side Story? Oh, my God, unbelievable." Well, I'm going to send in I'll see if Dieter Bastian wants to come on. Dieter Bastian saw Dune, and he did not care for it. And I want to see if he's going to come on, and maybe he'll have something to say. I want to hear our European brethren's opinions now that Dune is out and what they think of it. I'm surprised. This is the longest anyone has ever not come on the show. I guess this tells me all I need to know about Steven Spielberg. My God. Do we not love the GOAT? Is there no love for Big Steve S? I mean, I wanted to ask, what are your favorite Spielberg films? What are your favorite memories seeing movies of Steven Spielberg? I mean, my God, you go back and Jurassic Park is 28 years old already. That's unbelievable. I think Emil Johansson, would that be you? It is you. Let's see. How are you, sir? Did you see Dune today? Oh, I can't wait to put you on to talk to you. All right. This is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting to let me put you in. I'll put you in, coach. I want to hear it. I want to hear the opinions of people that have seen Dune. Let me just get you in here and hold on. Are you ready to talk about it? Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all the way from Sweden, Mr. Emil Johansson. Emil, how are you, sir? Are you feeling like a midnighter tonight?
Yes. Well, it's the morning for me, but I'm good.
So let me ask you the question. Did you see Dune yesterday?
Yes, I saw it, and I have not read the books. I know Stubble has read the books.
Yes.
Now,
did you see it? Did you see it in IMAX?
No, I did not. There is no IMAX where I live, so. But it was it was a movie that would fit in IMAX.
Yeah.
I think it was very huge and almost a bit scary sometimes. But it was a very sort of epic movie, I think.
What did you think of it? What were your overall impressions? Did you like it? Did you not like it?
I was very impressed, actually. I mean, I really liked it, even if I didn't really know everything that was going on. I thought it was interesting, even for someone like me that didn't really know that didn't read the books.
What were some of your like? What did you like the characters? What did you think of the visual effects, the action, all those things?
Um, Stellan Skarsgård was an interesting character.
Baron
The
Vladimir
sort of,
Harkonnen, leader
yeah,
of the Harkonnen Empire, I
yeah,
guess.
like this sort of monstrous person. I thought he was sort of scary in a way, but and Atreides, the main character, was and I like that they had this sort of religious theme as well. They talked about prophecies and stuff like that. And
Oh yeah, it's a big part of that. It's a big part of Dune.
I mean, it seems like there was a lot of things like going on. Like there were different families and there were like factions and I mean, uh, yeah, like it was a very big movie, I think.
Did it bother you that there was no conclusion to the story? That it sort of ended halfway through the well, it
No, I
ends
mean,
halfway through the first book.
I I wasn't even like aware of how they were gonna finish the story because it seemed like it could go on forever.
Yeah, and it does.
Um, yeah,
But what you found it to be a satisfying, a cinematic experience.
definitely.
Now, how are the effects? How are the sandworms and the ornithopters and all that? The spice
Uh,
harvesters.
it was really great. The sandworms were like scary, but no, but they were. It was great. It wasn't like a huge CGI all the time. It felt very real in a way.
Yeah, even the effects that we've seen, it looks very, very real.
Mm.
I love the way it looks. What did you think of Hans Zimmer's music score?
It was awesome. It was like chilling because I didn't expect it to be sort of. It felt a bit to me. It felt a bit scary, like some from time to time, and I actually kind of like that.
Yeah,
Um,
what's not to love?
yeah.
But did you understand everything? Like, did it convey? You know, you've on one hand you have the Atreides, you have the Harkonnens, you have the Bene Gesserit. They pay lip service to the. I get you don't see the Emperor in this version. In David Lynch's version, you do, and you understand that the Emperor of the known galaxy is the one pulling the strings that wants the Harkonnens to destroy the Atreides. I don't know if that comes through in this version of the movie, but that's in the Lynch version. But we don't see.
Um,
But the Emperor is not in the movie yet,
mm,
so you never see him. Do you understand like that? There's a plot happening against the Atreides.
honestly, I wasn't hugely aware of everything that was going on.
Right. Well,
But
I think that's
I enjoyed
interesting.
the
That
movie, but I wasn't like a huge. I wasn't like. I didn't understand everything that was going on.
I don't know if that's a good thing though.
No,
I mean, was it a good thing or not?
I
But
mean
you
it was.
liked
It
it.
was. Yeah, I did like it. It was a captivating movie. It was sort of like it reminded me of. No, no, not really, but like it felt sort of like something that's like a sort of coming of age story, like for teenagers. Like if they read the books, they can watch this movie, and it's sort of like I don't know. It just felt like that, but I haven't read the books, so but
Actually,
I did like.
I read the books when I was a kid, so I think you're right
Okay.
about that.
Mm.
I actually agree with you. I'm going to bring on our friend Paul from Twin Flicks, who I haven't talked to in a while. First of all, Paul, how are you holding up, sir?
I'm sure as you can, uh, obviously, it's been a few hard couple months.
Yes, I
You
understand.
know,
Are you and your brother
um,
holding up? You and your family?
yeah, yeah. My mom, of course, is having the hardest time, but we're there to comfort her and encourage her and support her, and some of the friends, family friends, have come in, and so we're getting by. We're hanging in there.
How's everyone's
But,
health? Well, everybody's staying healthy, and what's going on?
Yeah, we're doing good. Simon hurt no, actually his foot was hurting really bad, and he went to the doctor and found out he has a cyst on his big toe.
Oh my
On the
God.
bone, the knuckle of the bone on the big toe. So he's going in to see a podiatrist for that. But other than that, yeah, we're doing good. Doing good. We're staying healthy. No coronavirus.
Well, that's good to hear.
So that's good.
And I was sorry to hear about your dad.
Yeah,
But you guys have been there for him for a long time.
Yeah, he was sick for about 2 or 3 years before he passed.
Yeah.
And so, as you know, we're very close to him, and we stuck by his side till the very end.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, was he a Spielberg fan?
That's why I wanted to come on. He was a huge Spielberg fan. In fact, when Simon and I were 17, I think it was 90.
Were you guys sexy in 17 or just 17?
You know it, 16, 17.
Nice, all right.
I think it was 95 or 96. We made a short film, and we wanted to send it to Spielberg and Amblin Entertainment. And we begged our dad, help us make a movie so we can send it to Spielberg. And he, in his mind, I'm sure he's thinking, this is never going to happen. You're never going to hear anything back. But he did it anyways, and he helped us with it. And he sent it off, and we actually got a letter back from Amblin Entertainment. And, it's not from Spielberg himself, but still, it was actually, I still have it framed.
Wow, look at that. What does it say?
Let's see here. It says, Dear Paul and Simon, thank you for your recent letter requesting Steven Spielberg's comments on your short film, Escape from Illusion. Now, that's a title. Unfortunately, with Spielberg's commitments at his new studio, DreamWorks, he is simply unable to fulfill the literally thousands of requests for his time. However, Spielberg did watch your film, and he wanted us, and he regrets that he will not be able to provide comments personally, but he wanted me to send comments to you. You are obviously very ambitious young filmmakers, and we hope to see your continued work in this area, and it brings you much success. And then it was signed by Chris Kelly, whoever that, probably secretary.
Well, that's pretty cool, though, dude.
But so when we received, we didn't know if we were going to hear anything back, and when we received that, 17 years old, our minds were blown.
I can only imagine.
And that only motivated us, inspired us more to even get into the industry.
Yeah, that's like Andy Dufresne writing letters from Shawshank Prison to get the library built. I'm going to double my efforts.
Exactly.
I'm going to write even more letters.
And what's funny is I actually still have that short film, and I watched it the other day, and I'm like, I can't believe I sent this to him. This is awful.
Hey, you know what? You guys are 17 and you did it.
Yeah, I was going to say we're 17, and we were fearless back then, and and Spielberg, our dad showed us Duel, Jaws. In fact, I got the hat here. I don't know if you can read that.
Yeah,
Quince Fishing, and Spielberg's been our inspiration, and he's the one that we actually started watching all his films and studying how he composed a shot. How did he make this scene suspenseful? What did he do? Jaws is just a shark, but how did he create that to make it suspenseful? At the time, we didn't know that it was, the shark didn't work. And so he used, he did what he could. And at the time, we didn't realize that. But we were thinking, this is brilliant that he doesn't show the shark. How did he think of this? How did he think about showing the shark?
Yeah, but I keep hearing about that, about how, the shark didn't work. And I was talking today with Tom from Midnight's Edge, and he's like, yeah, Spielberg wanted to make it more like a Sci-Fi Channel movie, like, Sharknado. And I'm like, I don't really know if that's necessarily true. I mean, it didn't work very well, but the way he shot the other kinds of shots that he picked
Yeah.
are, I mean, even if it worked perfectly, you're not going to blow your wad in the first 5 minutes when Chrissy is killed by the buoy in the opening of the movie.
Yeah, and who in their right mind? This is his first major studio film.
Yeah.
Tons of money in it. Who in the right mind is going to want to make a movie of the week for Universal? No, I didn't. I don't agree. I don't think so at all.
And if you look at Duel, I mean, Duel is so well done. I mean, Spielberg was like I said, he's a savant. He just understood. Let me ask you this, Emil: when you were growing up in Sweden, were you a Steven Spielberg fan?
Sure. I mean, I saw Jurassic Park when I was a kid, and we saw Schindler's List in school, and
Sure.
Yeah.
But see, when we were growing up, I mean, we're a little older than you, obviously.
Yeah.
But when we were growing up, I mean, his films were, Jaws was mind blowing, and Close Encounters was certainly mind blowing, and to a certain extent, 1941 was mind blowing, and Raiders and E.T. and Temple of Doom, and like I'm a huge Color Purple fan, so it was like Steven Spielberg was the GOAT, man. There was no one. I think he's probably the greatest populist filmmaker of all time. Now, that's not to say would I compare him to, say, Alfred Hitchcock? No, because they're different filmmakers. Alfred Hitchcock did his own thing, which is different than Spielberg. But Spielberg, I honestly believe that Jaws ushered in the modern age of cinema. Certainly there were other blockbusters before that. The Godfather movies were huge hits. Exorcist was a huge hit. But I think that Jaws feels, even to this day, it feels like a modern movie. The way the camera moves, the way John Williams' score works, the way it's the characterizations, all of it. It feels incredibly modern, even though it's what is it, 56 years old now? 50? Oh, it's 55. 56
Yeah,
years old.
And I think that
46 years old.
Yeah, and Jaws was really the biggest popular movie in pop culture.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Godfather, it has its own audience. Alfred Hitchcock had its own audience, but Jaws everybody loved it. It was widely popular.
Yeah, and it was interesting because like Exorcist was a huge movie, but that was also a transgressive movie. People couldn't believe what they were seeing, whereas Jaws is really an adventure film. It's these three men set out on the high seas to go capture the big game, that's threatening their families and their way of life. And more than anything, it has that spirit. It begins as a horror film and then turns into a rousing sea adventure that harks back to, stories hundreds of years before.
And when I was young, when I first saw it a couple times, I started noticing, wait a minute, he's putting these three men out in the middle of the ocean. They have no escape.
Right. None.
They have no escape. And, and it's not like someone who's trapped in a house, they can get out the window. They can hide. They can do this. They have no place to hide, no escape. If they fall in the water, that's it. And I always thought that was just brilliant how he did that. And the scene that has always stuck with me the most is when which part was it? When how do I describe it? When the boat is flipped over in the lagoon.
Yeah.
And you see the Jaws shark coming in at him like that, and
oh,
I mean that shot.
And then you see the leg fall.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's great.
He had a little lunch there, and it just that shot has always stuck with me ever since I saw it, and it's just inspired us to do, when we were younger, to do the same thing with our own short films. The way we mimic the way he moves the camera, the way he composes a shot. But not every Spielberg movie was mind-blowing or fantastic. Personally, I never liked Hook.
Oh, I that's my least favorite Spielberg movie. I can't stand it.
Yeah, and it has some great set pieces, but it always felt like, even when I first saw it when I was young, I felt it feels like this is on a stage.
And it
It
was.
didn't
I was on that
feel
stage.
real.
It
Oh,
was
really?
incredible. I was on the Columbia lot, though, where the ship was. I was on that stage. It was an amazing set, but I'm like, this is a set. I never liked Hook. I found
Yeah,
it. I mean, it had a great cast. Obviously, it just I think it didn't work. I think that was the problem. Is that Steven Spielberg was boxed in literally,
yeah,
but it also had no. It was all over the place tonally, and yeah, I
yeah.
didn't dig it. But even his movies that people don't like Always. I like
I,
Always. I mean,
I've always liked it too.
yeah, it's beautifully shot. It's got great acting in it. It's exciting. It's It's just
Well, the shots at the ending when the plane flies through the fire in the
oh,
forest is unbelievable.
it's it's incredible.
I mean
Incredible.
the plane just flies straight head on towards the camera, smashing through the trees with the fire, and it's fantastic.
It's incredible. It's
And then,
incredible.
of course, Jurassic Park. I mean, those that were too young to remember or weren't alive when it came. I mean, it's going to be 30 years old in 2 years. That's
I know.
insane to me. But that was the first. I was too young for Star Wars, so I never saw the huge lines around the block. So Jurassic Park was the first time I went to a theater with my dad, who wanted to see it, and we looked at the theater and we saw the line go from the door all the way down the parking lot around the corner, and we're like, forget this. Let's wait till it goes down. I mean, every show was packed. We saw that movie probably 15 times. And he used the same type of atmosphere and camera movement from Jaws in Jurassic Park, the same technique to give you that horror feeling. And it's just,
Oh no, man, it was amazing. Emil, do you have a favorite Steven Spielberg movie?
Mm, uh, I don't know right at the moment.
You youngsters, come on now. No,
that's a hard question to answer, man.
no, it is. But it's funny because like Emil talked about how he saw Jurassic Park when he was a kid, and they showed him Schindler's List in school, and those are both. I think those movies came out in the same year. Jurassic
Yeah.
Park and Schindler's List were both 93. I mean, imagine another filmmaker in this day and age being able to make two movies like that in the same year.
I always tell, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I always tell somebody, there's been some directors that's made two movies in the same year, but have they been good? Have they been not just good, but great Oscar caliber nominated movies?
And then also giant blockbusters. I mean, Jurassic Park was a huge blockbuster, and then Schindler's List was no slouch at the box office, but it also won Best Picture, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
and
an amazing piece of work.
I don't know about you, but I cannot think of any other director that has directed two movies at the same time more than once, because that's not the only time he's done it. He's done it a couple of times, and they're always great films. I can't think of another director that's done that.
Yeah, not like that. I mean, Ridley Scott's cranked out films, but they haven't been as good as Jurassic Park and Schindler's List.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure. And if you could say the Wachowskis made the two Matrix sequels, or Peter Jackson doing the 3 Lord of the Rings films, but that doesn't really count because Spielberg made two very, very different films.
Vastly different. And what gets me is I've been on a couple movies where the directors worked with the same director who went from one movie to another movie, and he loses. It's very easy to lose your vision when you go from one movie to another movie like that, especially when they're vastly different.
Yeah.
And you're focused on one movie trying to get that done while you start production on the other movie, and it's very, very, very hard to do. And,
very much so.
And like I said, I think Spielberg's the only one that can actually accomplish something like that, which is a huge feat.
Well, listen, Paul, I want to get Dieter Bastian was going to come on because he saw Dune as well, and I was hoping to get a Dune conversation going between Emil and Dieter.
Oh, do it. Let's do it.
So I want to thank you for coming on. Please give my best to your brother and your mom.
I will. Thanks.
And yeah, it's good to see you. It's good to talk to you. But yeah, Spielberg. I love talking Spielberg with you. So thank you for that. Now I would ask anybody, Dieter. I know Dieter's in the chat. Maybe he'll come on. But if anyone comes on before Dieter, I'm going to bounce you until Dieter comes on.
No problem.
Just so you know.
No problem.
All right, man. Let's see. Let's see if Dieter will come on, Mr. Bastian. I want you and look who it is. He was there. There he is. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got 2 Europeans now to have a Dune discussion. I got Mr. Dieter Bastian is in the house. Hang on. My favorite trash panda, my favorite German, all the way from Saarbrücken, Deutschland, who has also seen Dune. And he didn't. Well, wait, you know what? Far be it for me to speak to Dieter Bastian. I'm going to put Dieter on, and he's going to tell you himself. I don't think he's going to rock you like a hurricane, but that remains to be seen. We shall see. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, joining Emil Johansson from Sweden is Dieter Bastian from Saarbrücken, Deutschland. Also, the man with the plan, the man who has seen Dune. So, Dieter, you saw Dune. Did you see it in IMAX?
No, Rob. We don't have an IMAX here.
You and Emil, come on. What's up with these European towns with no IMAX screens? Come on now.
Yeah, come on. And I guess Emil loved it, correct?
Yes.
Or okay.
I didn't understand everything that was going on, but I did really like the movie.
Now, I just want to give a little preamble here, Dieter,
Yeah.
that you watched the David Lynch version and you think it's trash. You didn't like it.
Correct.
You're not. You're
But,
already.
but to get that out of the way, the Denis Dune got me a little bit more appreciation of the old Dune. And I'm contemplating, should I get that Koch set myself? perhaps?
You should. By the way, I need to get 2 more of those. Can you order 2 more of those for me?
Yeah, I do it. Rob.
Will you do it? Don't forget, because I got people who are
Yeah.
gonna pay you.
For Darren and Charlie. needs
Yeah,
one.
that's right. Come on,
So
man.
that would be 5 as a whole, 4 for you and 1 for another PGS member.
Yeah, so that's 5,
And I think
bruh.
Adam Steins wants a 2. What is it always with you and Dune? Unbelievable.
We're Dune fanatics. So okay, I mean,
Okay.
Emil gave us a little bit. Now give me your
actually,
impressions.
I was too late to hear Emil's thoughts about it. Just joined. So okay, I went yesterday, and considering Dune, I would say it's fair to spoil the movie, considering we all probably know the story. Who know, at least I don't know the books, so all I have from knowledge is the Dune version of the movie, but we know how the story unfolds.
Yes.
So it's probably fair to say something about the movie. Because let me just start at the beginning. I was hearing that Emil was
As they
not-
said in the David Lynch version, the beginning is a very delicate time.
Correct. So I will start at the end, and I heard Emil had no problems with it. For me, Rob, if we don't get a part 2, for me, the movie is pretty useless if we don't get a part 2. Let's say we would have gotten from Lord of the Rings only the Fellowship of the Ring, and not the other 2. But even that, Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship, left me fulfilled. I got a feeling yesterday out of the theater like I got with Tenet. Not that I didn't understand the story, but from the same feeling that I was not fulfilled from the movie itself on another spectrum than Tenet. But the same feeling, I didn't get emotionally involved in anything the movie was showing me. And I really had a problem, Rob, with the color palette, that brown and gray tones. And I hear a lot of people say, oh man, those shots are epic, masterpieces. Rob, I've seen epic since Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship. Almost 20 years now, I've seen epic scenes. So it's really tough that my jaw will be dropping, okay? Even if we have movies like, in Bad Contest, Star Trek, Into Darkness, and Rise of Skywalker, 2 J.J. Abrams movies. And you have both in these movie scenes that in better context, better movies, would be epic. The Enterprise coming out of the water, and I was like, oh man.
No, man, that was
scene,
never epic. That's the dumbest shit ever.
That scene is stupid. The Rise of
Thank you.
Skywalker, you've got the Star Destroyer coming out of the water, the water stuff. And you have a scene in Dune where help me, Caladan,
yeah.
A ship rises from the water. It's nicely done, okay, but it didn't drop. That stuff didn't get my jaw dropped anymore. It's nice to see a lot of people and something like that. And I was really, like I said, I've given a little bit more credit now to the Dune version because the story beats in the old one from Lynch are there, as they are now a little bit more spread out. So from the story beats, they are in the old ones. There is that scene where, help me, wait, I've got the IMDb open. I'm not that familiar with you. The Gaius Helen Moyam, the Charlotte Rampling character,
Yeah.
where she tested Paul, and the scene is in some sort of library, but to me it looked a little bit too dumb, too dull. It wasn't popping, Rob. It just wasn't popping. I remember Aaron
Would
Cummings
you put
said,
your hand in the box, Dieter? Would you put your hand in the box if she had the
for
gum
my review
bar
of
at your
Dune?
neck?
For my review of Dune, probably not. So you have, for me, the look of the movie was a little bit too brownish, too grayish. It just didn't pop. So the movie flowed a little bit over me. I was watching it, but I didn't get any involvement in the film at all. And then the end is, spoiler alert, Paul is with the Fremen at the end, and then that is part 1. As it is titled part 1. And if you don't get a part 2, that really would sour this movie. So if we get a part 2, it can reflect on the part 1 positively. If we get a part 2 and see where it will go. And people who are looking
It's funny,
for,
I think your
those great
entire-
sentence.
I think your voice has gone out of sync, which I love.
Oh, okay. Sorry for that.
No, it's not your fault.
Uh,
It's not your fault. I'm hang on a second. I'm just going to see if I can bring you back.
For people who looking
There you go.
looking to see that great sandworms. Well, you gotta keep looking. But because they are not that often in the first part.
Well, they're not. I mean, as a matter of fact, I would assume that they're only in the first part of the movie twice. Because
3 times, Rob.
Three times. Because you got the harvester sequence when they eat the harvester.
correct.
Then you have the scene when Jessica and Paul crash in the desert. Look, I haven't even seen the damn movie.
Yeah.
Crash in the
correct.
desert.
But it's like you said.
And you
So
don't.
for me,
there-
it was strange to see the same beats that I actually knew from the Lynch movie.
Well, that's the thing. I
Like
mean,
that-
and a lot of that stuff when you watch, at least what I've seen of like the sandworm attack on the harvesters, it looks just like the Lynch movie, but the effects are better. And the ornithopters' wings are flapping because they couldn't do the ornithopters, and the thopters couldn't be done in
and they have
84.
a really cool design. And I don't know, Rob, like you said yourself many times, this is not an MCU movie. This is not a popcorn movie. So
Right.
I don't know what the word of mouth is, because I was so hyped. Damn, I will make my viceroy jealous. I will see you, and I will give him how good this movie is. And I really had plans to see it over the weekend, probably in 3D and English again. But from the look of the movie, Rob, I have no desire to watch it. As you and I are 3D fans, to see it in 3D.
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
the movie is sometimes that dark. And I don't know, Rob, we always know, at the theaters, is the bulb bright enough? Is it correctly adjusted? Where's something wrong with the theater presentation at mine? I don't think so. What was great is, of course, the score from Hans, which gotten sometimes a little bit overpowering over the movie itself.
Sure.
I'd say. But it was totally a prominent factor in the movie. So for you, you probably will be fine with the movie, considering you are love of the source material, more spread out. But I really hope that a lot of people will go to see it, because I even want that part 2. because at the moment the movie just left you there. And even if I go back to Fellowship to the Ring, even if I wouldn't gotten Fellowship alone, it would be still a great movie for me that I can totally watch. But Dune without a second part is a little bit of I'm feeling a little bit there's missing something. There's missing something here. And I really hope we get that second part, because it was really a bummer if we don't get it.
Now, Emil,
Because if you would rewatch the movie, you always know you come to this ending that will left you unsatisfactory.
now let me ask you this. I mean, obviously, Dune and my other movie that I wanted to see, since my two favorite movies of 2020, Dune and No Time to Die. When do you get? First of all, Emil, are you a James Bond fan? Are you looking forward to No Time to Die at all?
Yes, I'm like a casual Bond fan, I think.
Do you know when does it open in Sweden?
Yeah, it's I think it's the 30th.
Okay, that's when it opens in the UK. What about you, Dieter?
It's the same as Emil. September 30th, Rob. I already have my ticket for a midnight preview at 007 a.m.
Oh
They're
man,
doing the preview screening, and I can only hope I come out with more great feeling.
well,
than,
I've heard a few
yesterday.
things. I've heard a few things, whispers about how great it is. People are saying that it's incredible. So I would assume it would be. You know, I'm looking forward to it. 25th official James Bond movie.
Totally.
Dune. We don't get Dune till the 22nd, although I'm supposed to see it this week at some point. This week or
Great.
close.
I'm really looking forward what you think of it.
Yeah. No,
as a summary.
I'm really looking forward to it. Well, I want to thank you for coming on here, and
No problem. And you know, I had to, of course, check Rotten Tomatoes. You know, you need to find that validation from other people that see it in the same way as you, that you know you're perhaps not the only one.
you know, you should check out the Rotten Tomatoes score on
Tango Shalom.
Tango Shalom has gone up into the 90s in terms of people liking it. Yeah,
Great.
and I should point out that Tango Shalom is opening in Miami and Palm Springs and Scottsdale, Arizona. But I want to take a moment. I want to take a quick break because I noticed our friend Swack Props Cal from Malaysia is in the chat. Now, I got. So, for whatever reason, Cal from Swack Props has bequeathed me with his work. As some of you know, or new people to the channel might not know, Swack Props, that's SWAK Props. Cal from Malaysia. Swack means south, so South Props. He makes books, prop books from movies. He made me The Nine Gates of the Kingdom of Heaven from the movie The Ninth Gate. He made me Rorschach's Journal. He made me a envelope full of amazing work, such as the map from The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
And the Sasa Kane book.
What's that?
The Sasa Kane book, probably.
Oh, dude, how'd you know that? Why'd you have to harsh my mellow? But yes, so it came. Yeah, I put the picture up. So here is another. This is just. I mean, this is so
Insane.
unbelievable that I'm going to go full frame on this for a second. So Swack has done this. He is made from John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. Now this looks like this. It looks. I haven't taken it out yet. I'm gonna untape this on Midnight Metal because I sent Dave Parker pictures of this and he freaked out. So this feels like. I mean, I know that you look at the back. I mean, this looks real. I mean, it looks like a real. I mean, it looks like I can't believe this. And not only that, but he also sent me the thing that Sam Neill's character, when he cut apart the paperback covers and put them together as a map, he sent this to me too. And I mean, I worked my first job in movie making was in the art department. So I worked on props and I've seen prop books. I've seen what Swack does, what Cal does is fucking next level. I mean, this stuff is so. In the Robservatory, I'm gonna have a special Swack props shelf where I'm just gonna have all of his stuff. And if you want to get somebody, I mean, obviously they're prop recreations, so they're not screen used, but they're better than screen used. His stuff is so good, And he does have an Etsy store. And I have to say, one of the things, and I don't expect him to send this to me, but the Grail Diary. Speaking of Steven Spielberg, he makes Henry Jones's Grail Diary from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Again, it's insane. I mean, it looks, the research he does, it's absolutely amazing. Oh, you could see the Sutter Kane book right behind me. That's how come you knew it was there. So I want to give a big shout out. You know what's funny? He never writes me a letter to say, "Hey man, I'm sending you something." I just get some international
Just
pack.
pops up.
Yeah, it pops up, and then Elizabeth's like, "What did you order now?" And I'm looking at it, going, I'm like, "Baby, I didn't order this. I don't know what this is." And then I'm like, "Ooh, it's from Malaysia." And then I'm like, "I know what this," but I don't know. I hoped it was what it was, but there. Do you read Sutter Kane? So good.
So he is in the wings to come on the show, Rob?
No, he's just in the chat. He
okay.
sent me. I love it. Swag Prop sends me an amazing book. And by the way, he sent me a letter, and he told me that it was one of 2 artists' proofs. So, and Swag says he sends in a tip right now. He says, of Spielberg's recent films, the one I really liked is Bridge of Spies. I love Bridge of Spies. Yep. It's a mature and classically handsome thriller, swirling with novelistic intrigue, and it reminded me a lot of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Cal, first of all, thank you, sir. And by the way, I'm going to be talking about the Sutter Kane book for the next 3 or 4 days on the show. So please don't get bored when I sing your wax rhapsodic about your talent and sing your praises. I agree. I think Bridge of Spies is a wonderful movie, and Mark Rylance was great in it. And so was Tom Hanks. What a just a terrific movie. Have you guys seen Bridge of Spies?
Yeah, I loved it. It was great.
Did you see it, Emil?
Especially the Berlin section of it.
Oh, it's great.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Nice. So Rob, I delivered my Dune review from me. 6 out of 10 at the moment. Probably could get up higher, and of course I will watch it on HBO Max again to see if I come to another judgment.
But you'd recommend seeing it in the theater first, right?
Yeah, totally, of course. To make your own mind about it. It was just, Rob, if the hype is that high for a movie and you're expecting this awesome stuff and was just good,
All right. You know what? I we'll have to see. To see.
And we need to get that part 2.
Well, hopefully we will.
Yeah. Great.
Well,
so
gents,
and I'll see you on Sunday.
All right, Emil, Dieter, I'm gonna send you both out and bring some more people on. Thank you both for being here and talking about Dune.
Do you know when you will see it, Rob?
No, I'm going to see it with Bill Hunt. It could be any day now. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So,
great.
Gentlemen, thank you for being here, the two of you. I am living long, and I will always live prosper. As long as I know you, man. So anyone, if you are out there, I got people, if you want to come on and talk about Spielberg. Once again, there is the link in the chat. I'm curious to hear what people have to say. But yeah, interesting. My enthusiasm is not waning, even though I've heard the mixed response from Dieter and Emil. I'm still very excited to see the films. So, Tom Jr. Jackson, our man Tom Jr. Jackson is... Tom, what is it, like 4 in the... It's got to be 4 in the morning. It's got to be 4 in the morning for you, bruh. What's going on, Tom? Let me put you in the show. Talking a little Steven Spielberg. I hope you have... I'm sure you probably do. Now, hang on. Let me get you in. I do not want you to start talking before you are actually in the show. So hang on here. Let me put your name down. Takes me a while to do this live. All right. There's no one else here, so I'm going to put you in, and I'll just leave Dieter Bastian's circle on the square Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kind souls, gentle beings from across these, the 28 known galaxies, welcome. Imagination connoisseur par excellence, the man who knows we're all goof people, Mr. Tom Jr. Jackson. Hello, Tom.
Hello, Rob.
So,
How's
lay it
it
on me.
going?
What do you think of Spielberg? Is that a hot toy behind you? That's just a poster.
No, that's my Thor poster.
Yes, I was going to say it looked like hot toy just for a second. What did you think? Tell me about your relationship to Steven Spielberg.
When I was younger, I'd have to be probably in my teens. I wrote to Amblin, wrote about my love for Back to the Future, and they ended up sending me all 3 Back to the Future posters.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, I can't remember what I wrote. I probably said how much I enjoyed the movies and stuff like that. And I guess they said Spielberg was impressed with my letter, and as a gift, please accept these posters. And it was all 3. The first one was like a mini poster, and then the other 2 were movie grade quality.
Well, yeah, the
27
one sheets.
Yeah, and I think the third one was the like the ones you would get now, where it's on both the front and the back.
Yeah, those are for theater posters, so they could shine lights behind them.
Yeah, because as a matter of fact, the other day I just got my Shang-Chi poster.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I'll have to
So
send you a
that's one-
Tango Shalom poster.
go for it. That is awesome. I would hang that up. I mean, that's looking really good. But I mean, what, almost 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and
Yeah, it was like
really
91 today. It's amazing, and it's opening. I mean, I think our biggest markets are going to be, I think, Palm Springs and Florida, which could be great, because but it's tough. You were opening a little movie with no advertising budget behind it during a pandemic, so it's crazy.
yeah,
But-
and yeah, here you go. You know,
This
Yeah,
is Anthony Gonzalez writes in and says, "I feel like Munich, although fantastic, is the most un-Spielberg-like film he has. Kind of like how Red State is great, but very un-Kevin Smith-like.
yeah.
Can you think of
And-
other directors' films that don't at all have the feel of the director's other work?" That's a good question.
Yeah.
Um,
That's really true about Munich, because Munich does not feel like a Spielberg film.
no, and I love Munich though.
Yeah, I love The Post, and I usually say if you're gonna watch The Post, pair it with All the President's Men, but then if you really want to go the extra mile, get the Liam Neeson film Mark Felt.
Oh wow,
And
okay.
Do it like a 3-peat type
Wow.
thing. Because
Interesting.
they all would go in line like that, and I've done that, and like I'll watch The Post first, then I'll go into All the President's Men, and then once you get into the Mark Felt movie, it's like you're getting that behind the scenes look, that other half of All the President's Men that you didn't see.
Right.
It's like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's I love those 3 movies. Like I'm a huge fan of Always. Like I remember going and seeing that at the movies.
Yeah, I
And-
mean, a lot of people don't because it's a remake of what a guy called Joe, and but I do like
Yeah.
Always. I love the filmmaking in it. I mean, hell, Audrey Hepburn's in Always. It's like, come on.
And that was like her last film as well.
Yeah.
And she is perfect in it. And Richard Dreyfuss is just really good in it. And he's like, how can I put it? It's one of those movies that when you watch it at first you're like, all right, and then you get into it and you're like, okay, I see where this is going, and it's beautifully done. And yeah, those fire sequences,
Amazing.
I mean, yeah, they're great. And yeah, it makes me want to rewatch it now because it's a great movie.
By the way, I didn't see that the Richard sent in a super chat. What are Emil Johansson's favorite films? He always has great perspectives. So, Emil, if you could write in a letter and tell us your favorite films, if you're still watching, love to know. So would the Richard. So send that in. Lance Bergsvin sends in a super chat and says, Minority Report is another great Spielberg film that I feel falls under the radar a bit, Also, Schindler's List is a near masterpiece, in my opinion. I would agree on both counts. I mean, I think, Spielberg delved into he had his late, the sci-fi period. He had Minority Report. He had AI. He had Ready Player One. He had War of the Worlds. Going back to his sci-fi.
That's another one that doesn't feel like Spielberg a lot, is AI.
Because it's Kubrick.
Yeah.
Spielberg really was doing what Kubrick wanted him to do. It's so much of that was taken from Kubrick. By the way, I have to say that Ron C. sends in a very generous super chat tonight. Ron, how are you, sir? Ron says, "Good morning, Rob. Oh, an editing question. I have an Apple Mac Pro 2012. I can no longer update my Adobe software. My heart is breaking. My next desktop I'm building from scratch. Any thoughts and suggestions for a system to update regardless? Fan of JAWS." Well, Ron, I am running the MacBook. Actually, I have an iMac Pro. I think that it topped out. I think the computer I'm talking to you on was I think it was 14 grand. And the reason I have it, it's just so souped up, is because I'm editing feature films on it, and you're dealing with. I mean, I have 120 terabytes hooked up to the computer that I'm talking to you on right now, and you need a lot of firepower. It depends what you're editing. For me, I was editing a feature film that was shot in 5K, and I had 40 terabytes of files and data that I have to manipulate, and you need a computer that you can manipulate at the speed of thought. So I've been a Mac guy since Mac came out in '84. I started using Macs in '86, and the first time I used Macs, I published our literary journal in college. So, it's hard going from. The thing is, really, it all comes down to so many of the computers today are so good and so fast at processing things. You really just have to ask yourself, what are you going to use the computer for, and then trick your computer out. I've been a Mac guy for Tom. What do you use? Are you a Mac guy or are you a PC?
I have Google Chrome.
Okay.
Right now, at this moment, I've been trying to get back into it. For some reason now, it doesn't recognize me.
Oh, well, what are you talking to us on now? A Chromebook?
I'm on my phone.
Oh, wow, you're on your phone. It looks great.
Thanks.
Wow.
Yeah. What are you gonna do now that Tango Shalom is over? Do you keep that in your computer? What happens to the film?
That's a very good question. I have to say, to be honest, I've been a little depressed about this because, on my Facebook memories today, a memory came up from 5 years ago where I said I'm really enjoying. There's a picture from Tango Shalom in my post. I'm really enjoying editing the feature film Tango Shalom with director Gabe Bologna, and I'm like, oh my god. And I think about it, we were just barely into it back then, but I don't know. I mean, theoretically, I don't need to keep it on my computer, but I have an aversion to throwing things away. Especially because you never know when you need them. Like I've got stuff like most of my Star Trek stuff. When I worked on the documentaries for Star Trek, I copied them on I still have it on my computer. Not that I would ever use it for anything, but I finally got rid of, I had every single Next Generation episode that was uncompressed. At first, they were sending us the episodes, 60 gigabyte episodes. And then the ones we started getting were 30 gigabyte episodes. I'm like, I'm not going to throw this shit away. I have uncompressed files for Star Trek The Next Generation. And then it got to the point where I just needed the room. When you have 178 60 gigabyte files, it's like, yeah, it's time for these files to go. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, to answer your question, I have, Vision's only putting out like a DVD. They do DVDs on demand, and I have finished some special features in 4K for anticipation of a 4K release that probably will never come. But I mean, I have to leave it on my computer now, but I'm afraid I don't want to give it up. Because I've already delivered the movie, so theoretically I never have to touch it or look at it again. And it's really hard. It's really hard when you've had this thing where you've been able to tweak it at will whenever you want. Somebody wants me to tweak one thing, I'm like, oh, I can do that. Now I can't do it anymore. I delivered it, and it's no longer mine.
So was that really hard going to see it and then sitting there and not going, well, I could have changed this?
No, I have to, you know what? It's funny that you say that, because what I was telling somebody the other day is when I went and saw it at the Landmark on the 3rd, what struck me was every time I'd ever looked at Tango Shalom ever, I was always looking at it as, what can I change? And the first time I saw it in the theater, there was nothing more I could change. So I'm like, there's nothing I can do. And I loved it. It was the very first time I ever watched Tango Shalom. It seems I've seen the movie. I've worked on it for thousands of hours. And it was the first time I ever sat down and watched it without I couldn't do anything. So I actually watched it as a movie. And when it was over, I've told people, I'm like, this is pretty good. It's because it for 5 years, I only ever watched it as, as something that needed to be fixed. I never looked at it as a movie unto itself, and that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed being able to watch the movie and sit back and be, there's the things I would change they're out of my control. They would have been issues where we shot the movie, and I would have done. I just had Russell Whitfield, who was going to join us, and he's back. There, he's back. All right. But yeah, it was.
You were talking about Spielberg. Something came into my mind. When I was in high school, I went to a private school. They took us to see Hook. Hook ended, and they left me at the movie theater. So they all get back halfway to school, and they're like, "Where's Tom?" And I had to call up. I'm like, "Yeah, I used the bathroom. I come out. You guys are gone. Do you think someone can come and get me?" And I was like, maybe the school I went to was in Madison, Connecticut. They went down to Old Saybrook, so that's probably about a good half hour or so from where my school was. So someone had to come all the way back down to get me. Yeah.
Wait a minute. I didn't quite finish. By the way, please welcome Russ Whitfield to the chat. Hello, Russ. Can you hear me?
Hello, Rob. Can you hear me?
You sound great. 5x5. I just want to finish answering Ron C's question. So really what you have to do when you're building a computer system is you have to ask yourself, one, what are you going to use it for? And what kind of firepower do you need to accomplish your goal? And you're saying you have an editing question. So what you want is the fastest processor and the most storage, basically. And you don't need the new M1 processors. They're going to announce new computers in next month or something. Apple is. I don't think they announced them all today. But amazing. By the way, Russ disappeared. He's going to come back. Yep, he's back now. So Ron, I would just say that I've always consulted with people. I've always bought stuff from, before they had Apple stores, from the Mac Mall, and I found that they're incredibly helpful in terms of tailoring your computer to your needs. So maybe give them a call. So that's what I was thinking. So Russ,
hello.
Gotta ask you, Spielberg, yay or nay? What's your favorite? Everyone, what do I say? Nay. Everyone loves Spielberg. What's your favorite Spielberg movie?
Private Ryan.
Private Ryan. Good one.
Yeah.
Good one.
I think, like everybody else, Rob, I was so affected by that opening sequence, and it was so visceral. I know we saw it again in kind of Band of Brothers and things like that, but that was the first time I'd certainly seen anything like that. So yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, but it was the first. I mean, God, there would be no Call of Duty video games without the opening of Saving Private Ryan. I mean,
yeah, that
I was saying. I know why, Russ. I was going to say that there would be no Call of Duty video games without the opening of Saving Private Ryan, because I remember playing that first Call of Duty game when you stormed the beach at Normandy, and that was brutal.
It was. It's some mad stuff. But that guy's done so many things. Close Encounters, Jaws, all of that sort of thing. He's an absolute legend. I just wanted to say I'm kind of wearing this in your honor. This is Latin, to boldly go where no one has gone before.
I love it.
I had this T-shirt printed. A couple of mates of mine, we did a charity walk across Italy dressed in Roman armor for 100 miles, and this was everyone had a Latin phrase, and that was mine. I'm not a big Trekkie, but I thought you'd like it.
No, I love it. I'm in. I think it's great. Das Gecko asks if Hook was shot as a musical. You know, it was changed. I don't think I've ever heard that Hook was shot as a musical. It might have been. I don't think so though. I could be wrong. I suppose a cursory glance at Wikipedia would tell me, but I don't know. Lance Bergsven sent a super chat. I'm sure I'm getting your name wrong, Lance. Bergsven, Bergsven. Says, on the topic of Spielberg, Jaws is the film that first sparked my love for cinema. First saw it when I was 7, and I still consider it a favorite. Hey, man, I agree with you. I was 8 when I saw Jaws, and I was blown away. And it truly is. I mean, it has one of my favorite camera shots. I'm sure it's a lot of people's camera. I think Dave Parker talked about it. There's the great shot in Quint's office when the camera pans up and through. You see the jaws. You see the shark jaws that are mounted on the wall, and then you see the orca going out of the marina. So good. That shot is just. I mean, I can't even imagine how difficult it was to set that shot up, but it's certainly amazing.
What about the performances in that, though, when they're discussing what's the name of the ship? And
the Indianapolis. We delivered the bomb, the atomic bomb. I don't know why, Russ. I don't know why you keep flickering out, but yeah, I mean that whole thing, that whole monologue. It's one of the great. When I was a kid, I used to make a lot of mixtapes, and there were certain mixtapes I would make with. They were all 12-inch remixes, but then I would put quotes from movies. Oh. And the 2 longest quotes from movies I used was Quint's speech, the Indianapolis speech, and Hal Holbrook's speech from Capricorn 1.
All right.
About you know who's at the president, or you know who's at the launch today? Not the president, the vice president. The vice president and his plump wife. I mean, you'd all be dead in 3 months or whatever.
I just hear Robert saying, and his eyes rolled over white from that, and that stuck with me since childhood, man. Absolutely. I wanted to say, I spoke to.
I don't know why it keeps cutting out. That's
so odd. Rob, I'm gonna drop out because this keeps flickering on. It's got to be hella frustrating for you. So I'll try and catch you another time.
All right, but don't you have another camera angle? Maybe the other camera angle will work.
No, it's just I don't know. It just seems to be the connection. I've got 2 screens here. This is my laptop. That's my main screen, okay. And it's just the connection just keeps flickering out. So
well, before you flicker out, what's your favorite Spielberg movie?
I said Saving Private Ryan.
You say but that's what? Any others?
Close Encounters, I really like that, and Jaws. I think you can't go wrong with Jaws because it was the first of the first. But I did have a story I wanted to tell you, but I'll try and do it over a better connection, mate.
Okay, what of the 3 different versions of Close Encounters do you have a favorite?
The original one, because it's the one I saw when I was little, and I think I'm not a Star Wars purist. I kind of like the new Star Wars ones that George Lucas did, but the ones that you've seen when you're a child, like Jaws, like Close Encounters, those are the ones that you remember, and those are the ones that formed you.
Well, you already said that you don't mind the Star Wars special editions or whatever, so perhaps you were supposed to be winked out upon. Anyway, that was Russ Whitfield. That's okay.
There's a documentary being made about Lucas, Lawrence Kasdan.
Yeah, which I can't wait to see. And ILM, I think it's going to be great. 200 Watt Studio sends in a super chat and says, the humor in Dune was fun. Example, when Paul asked Idaho in training, where's the pew pew button? Wow, that's a topical Star Trek reference. There you go. Boy, where is the pew? You know what? God, I cannot stand modern Star Trek comedy, which is all colloquial and, oh, God, terrible.
Have you ever watched Lower Decks?
Yeah.
Did you see the one where they had what were those big beasts? The big white beast.
The Mugatu.
Yeah. Did you see that episode?
Yes.
I'm like, no, they're not gonna go there with that. Oh, they went there.
Yeah. I mean, my problem with that is that, look, I mean, I'm sorry I take Star Trek seriously, but once you're at that level, it's the same thing I have with all of the Simpsons parodies. You know, a lot of people, I never saw Planet of the Apes, but I saw the Simpsons parody. And, you know, from now on, the people that find Star Trek through Lower Decks, they'll never be able to watch the original series or Next Generation seriously. I mean, maybe they will, but I don't like the fact that it's a show about somebody who the Mariner doesn't want to be where she is. You know,
Right.
and to me, I'm like, I don't. It's antithetical to what I believe Star Trek should be, and you know, but it's fine. I mean, look, if there's one thing fandom and especially Star Trek fans like, it's wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're in on the joke comedy, and
Right.
and that is what it's almost like Mike McMahon. He's like, I understand the fan base. I'm going to make wink, wink, nudge, nudge, self-reflexive comedy so every Trekkie worth their salt can just tune in and feel they're in on the joke.
I think the one that would go like that would be Shatner in Airplane 2, where he's looking through the periscope and the Enterprise goes by and he looks like. No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess because I like Star Trek so much, it's fine. You know, it's entertaining, I guess. But I don't like it very much. You know, it's fine.
And that's fine. I mean, there are people that like it, people that don't like it, but that's the beauty of it, because it
Right.
makes great conversation.
It's true.
You know.
It is true.
Yeah,
Dos Gecko, by the way, says Spielberg was considering making the film as a musical. Accordingly, John Williams wrote around 8 songs for the project. The idea was later abandoned. Yeah, I mean that is probably that I understand, but you know developing a film, things change all the time. So
I didn't even know that. I didn't
either. I mean, I think it's interesting. I'd love to hear those songs actually. I wonder if he incorporated them into the score.
The way the sets were made for it, yeah, you could probably see that as it could have been a musical the way it was done. You know, I mean,
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, the sets would certainly support that because they're very theatrical.
Oh yeah.
So, which is good.
You know, I've been watching Band of Brothers.
So
and
good.
HBO has just released a podcast that goes with it, and they have 2 episodes up so far. One is a prologue with Tom Hanks, and that's a great episode.
Well,
and then they have episode 1 that goes along with the first episode. So I just started doing it where I'll watch the episode and then I'll listen to that corresponding episode that goes with it.
Oh, that's amazing. And it they're doing the 3rd part now. They're doing Masters of the Air about the air war in World War II. So you got Band of Brothers, The Pacific, and Masters of the Air that Tom Hanks is producing now. So nice. I'm looking forward to that. By the way, Tom, I meant to ask you, have you heard that Kino Lorber is actually going to be releasing To Live and Die in L.A. on 4K disc?
No way.
No,
Really?
I'm serious, man. I heard this and I meant to ask you. I want to know if you heard about this.
Is it like in Dolby Atmos as well?
I don't think it's going to be remastered in Atmos, but you know the Wang Chung score is going to sound pretty dope in 4K. Maybe it is going to be mastered in Atmos. I don't know, but I wanted to make sure that I asked you about it in case you didn't know.
That's awesome. I can't believe that.
I know, dude.
Actually, you know what? I'll tell you this. I'm surprised with the amount of Kino Lorber films that I actually have on Blu-ray. The amount of special features they put on these.
Oh, Kino Lorber put my single favorite special feature out of the last 5 years, which is Richard Rush's, the director, Richard Rush, his audio commentary on the Bruce Willis movie Color of Night. I it is it is he passed away.
Right.
But he recorded the commentary when he was 88 or 89, and it is one of the greatest audio commentaries ever. First of all, you gotta love that movie. A lot of people don't know that movie. It's a Bruce Willis movie. It's like a Giallo movie, like a Dario Argento movie, but
Right.
and there's two versions of it, and there's the regular version, and then there's the Bruce Willis's peen version, where you see Bruce's member bobbing around in the swimming pool. Which, I mean, we should do Color of Night. Whining About Movies is coming back, and Elizabeth and I are definitely going to do Color of Night for
Oh,
Whining About
God.
Movies.
You're gonna do it special for her, the peen version, aren't you? And
Yeah,
now she just mentioned peen through the whole thing.
I tell you. Yeah,
I got coming today the two Kolchak movies.
oh my God, those are so. One of them set in Seattle.
Yeah, I've got those two coming, and then Gosford Park from Arrow.
Oh, nice. I like Gosford Park.
Yeah.
I have an order with Arrow that I haven't received, and I don't understand it. That's got like my 4K bird with crystal plumage and cat of nine tails. I'm like, where have those gone? I'm like, what's
That's
up with
funny
that?
because Catherine got her that one.
Yeah, and
The
I
one.
haven't got mine. It's like I have to ask, like, what's going on? It's weird. I keep racking up more and more orders for things that I'm waiting to get. I'm like, where are these things? I got a shipping notice for my Exo 6 Picard that's coming from China or something. So that's good. My 6 scale. I don't have my data, but we'll see what this new toy company can do with the Star Trek license. So I'm just excited about that. My Star Trek discs are apparently now coming from the UK. My 4K Star Trek discs, which I don't know why.
That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, it took me forever to get my Lord of the Rings discs. I mean, it's just bizarre.
Yeah, and then they got that big set coming out too.
Yeah, with none of the special features I worked on.
Yeah, I know, and that's someone was bringing it up in my group chat the other day. They're like, "Oh yeah, this great big set." I'm like, "No, don't get it. It doesn't have. I mean, it may look beautiful, but it doesn't have the stuff that Rob worked on."
No, or the team of people that I worked with for 3 years that worked on all those things. And I understand they're only done in standard definition. There's no way, I mean, I guess they could upscale those, but we can't. There's no way to do them. I don't understand why. Though I guess they figure they've been released so much that, well, if you want them, you can get them. But it's
Right.
still frustrating. 200 Watt Studio says his favorite Spielberg films are Jaws, Close Encounters, Raiders, Jurassic Park, Sugarland Express, Duel. Also, Kino Lorber, To Live and Die in L.A. doesn't deserve 4K.
Oh God.
Why you gotta hurt me like that, man? Why you gotta do that,
Yeah.
200 Watt Studio? Why you gotta play it? Yes, as a matter of fact, it does. Robbie Mueller's photography absolutely would benefit from 4K. Look,
That's right,
I understand.
Spielberg did
There's people that
Jurassic-
don't like To Live and Die in L.A. I get it. It's fine. You're
That's right,
wrong,
Spielberg
but I get
did,
it.
Spielberg did Jurassic Park, and then went into doing
Schindler's List.
Schindler's List. And while he was doing that, like he would call up Robin Williams, and Robin would make him laugh
Yep.
because it's such a dour, I mean, very serious, but depressing subject, and he just wanted to laugh. I mean, that's a great big leap from doing this great big beautiful dinosaur movie to this impressive, massive, important film.
I think one of my favorite things that Spielberg has ever done is the opening scene where Liam Neeson is ingratiating himself to the Nazi high command. When he brings all that money in there, and I love that sequence. I think it's great.
Yeah, and that ending to it though, where he's just, I could have helped more. I could have done more. And they were
I
like,
could have done more. I know it's you break down. It's painful.
It is, but it's a beautiful film, and I think they may be releasing it in theaters again. Is that the film I was thinking of?
It might be.
No. I do know in October, was it Fathom? Fathom Events is
Yeah,
doing,
sure.
They're doing The Wolfman and Creature from the Black Lagoon as a double feature.
Yeah, man. I kind of want to go see that.
Yeah, because I think the last time I went to a Fathom event was they released the original Miracle on 34th Street with Natalie Wood.
Right.
And that I'd never seen that one, and I saw it on the big screen. It was beautifully done.
We have a new guest, Tom. We have Pod Racing Palpatine with an Empire Strikes Back re-release poster on. Actually, it's an insert. He has a original theatrical insert on his wall. First of all, before I bring him on, Das Gecko sends in a super chat and says, "Rob, you and Az make a great team. I love your dynamic and shared enthusiasm, and the back and forth about Star Trek today was epic. Love the stream." Well, Das Gecko, I want to thank you for that. You know, I had met Az, heel versus babyface, on a stream, and I really like Az a lot, and he and I share a love of certain things. I mean, we like the same kinds of things, and he's a very smart guy, and I really enjoy. He has a lot of fun, and I really enjoy streaming with him. We did, obviously. I mean, I've been streaming with him for like the better part of a year, you know, and I really enjoy the streams we do, and I'm glad you like our dynamic, and I think I will always stream with Az. I came up with an idea today about us doing a Star Trek show where we just talk about our favorite Star Trek episodes. We each pick one, and we switch off.
I thought you and Elizabeth were supposed to be doing this.
We're gonna do a Star Trek show where we're gonna review every Star Trek episode in order. But Az and I are not gonna do that. We're gonna do a different thing. But
can we take it to Discovery, and then it's just her rolling her eyes at you going off?
Yeah, it's not gonna be good. Introduce everyone. Put your hands together for Pod Racing Palpatine. Pod Racing Palpatine. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear okay. Are you coming to us from Australia?
UK, England.
UK, okay. Well, welcome. Now, are you a Spielberg fan?
Yeah. My first memories of Spielberg have got to be the 78 re-release of Jaws when my parents took us to see that.
And what'd you think?
It was good. I mean, for an 8-year-old, it was pretty terrifying.
I know, right? I was 8. I was 8 too when I saw it.
Scene.
The thing was the Ben Gardner's boat scene when the head comes out. I literally, my blood froze.
It still gets me every time. Every time. I always mistime it. That head pops out and I jump.
Yeah, it gets me now. As a middle-aged man with one foot in the grave, it's still Ben Gardner's boat. It still gets me. It's so good.
It is good.
What are some of your other? Go ahead.
A pirate ship sort of appeared out of nowhere and handed me a video cassette of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I watched that film and I ran down to the local park to get my brother and say, "You've got to come and watch this." And I watched it again with him. And the love affair with Indiana Jones began then. And
that movie it's a perfect movie. I mean, it really is, and it has not.
It is.
And the fact that it was a period piece in the first place, it hasn't aged. When you watch it, it's strange.
I've seen it again on 4K recently.
Oh my! It looks incredible on 4K.
It does. It really does.
And it hasn't, because it takes place in the past. It hasn't aged. You know, you watch it, and again, even the you know what I love? That Raiders, the silhouette opening in the jungle of South America. You know, you're watching and you hear the dun 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 dun. You know, the John Williams score, how it's kind of mysterious, and you're in and then it's all silhouetted until you hear the crack of the gun, the click of the gun, and then Spielberg, Indiana Jones uses his whip and walks out of the shadows. It's so good. I mean, that movie
that is a great hero reveal.
Oh my God, it's one of the greatest in cinema history, and it's got that.
I mean,
music.
it was that one,
Dun 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 dun. It's so good.
The one in Temple of Doom where the minecart and the light comes up and reveals Indy, and it's just Spielberg was just a master at that sort of thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was, And that stuff was, you knew that these guys, and you know what's funny, from what I understand, George Lucas said to Spielberg, look, you've gone over budget on every one of your movies. You went over budget on Jaws. You went over budget on Close Encounters. You went over budget on 1941 by a lot. And it was Lucas who said, especially because Empire Strikes Back went over budget, and it almost cost him his merchandising rights to Fox. He said to Spielberg, look, you can't go over. You cannot go over. There's no... And so Spielberg shot very economically, and he understood it was meticulously storyboarded. He knew what he wanted to do, and I think that's why Raiders is as good as it is because it was shot with a certain verve and a quickness and expediency that he didn't usually work with. And that's why I think, George Lucas is like, come on, dude, we got you don't have much time. Let's get a roll on here. Let's move it. So, and it works. I mean, you look at, I think Raiders is a timeless movie because, the fact that it's set in the 1937 or not, 1936, right? 36? 1936. It's South America, 1936. You can't go wrong. It'll never age because it's set in that time. It'll never get old. And it still works.
It always irks my brother that, Spielberg said he made Last Crusade as an apology for Temple of Doom, and it's like he had absolutely nothing to apologize for.
Well, your brother and I park our shuttlecrafts in the same shuttle bay because I've always been irked by that as well, because I'm like, bruh, I understand you're going through a divorce or whatever, and it's mean-spirited. Listen, even to this day, the kid in me loves it when Mola Ram sticks his hand into that dude's chest and rips out his burning, bleeding, beating heart. It's fucking great. Don't apologize for that shit. I put children in jeopardy. Goddamn right you didn't. It was better for it. Love it. But Last Crusade...
over here, it was pre-internet, and we never got those scenes in Europe. That was all cut.
Oh my God!
So you got the torture scene, but you never got the heart ripping and the flaming heart in his hand. So when we finally got the Region 1 versions, we were just stunned. It was like, wow, how did they show these in the cinema?
I know. By the way, Drew Gordon in the chat asks if I've met Mahler yet. I have not. He should do Drinkers Stream later. I am doing Drinkers Stream later. I was invited to be on the Critical Drinkers Stream to talk about the Star Trek Picard Season 2 trailer. So it'll be the Drinker, myself, Mahler, and Az, and Nerdrotic, Gary. That'll be a stream. Because boy, did I hate that trailer.
Hey, Rob. Rob, I'm getting a message here that you should do some super chats.
Well, the super chats I've only got one. The Richard says, can't wait for Elizabeth's whining about movies. Here is the full playlist. Otherwise, we're caught up. Das Gecko, I think I've got. I think I've caught up with everybody, except the Richard.
Maybe that's why. Maybe Richard wanted you to read that out. I guess.
Yeah, can't wait for Elizabeth's whining about movies. Here's the full playlist. I mean, he must have put that in the chat. Well, thanks for that. By the way, you know what's interesting about? Oh man, see Do you know Pod Racing Palpatine? I don't know why in America. Oh, they don't have it anymore. Do you know where they're sending me that? I got a shipping notice. Mine is coming from the UK. I ordered it from Amazon here.
Mine was a week late. I
don't have mine. I mean, it's Paramount. They don't. The problem is they don't have the replication facilities. There's only one in North America. It's in Mexico. That's considered isn't that, that's still North America, right? Maybe it's Central America, Mexico and Central America. But that's the only place there's a replication facility. So it sucks, and everyone's got it. So Amazon sends me a note. We're getting you it. It's coming from. You get it on September 28th. It's coming from the UK, which I have no problem with because I'm always ordering stuff from the UK. But really, like how often or how long ago did I order something and I'm not getting it? I don't like that. So Pod Racing, do you and your brother, are you still watching movies? Do you guys still commiserate? Do you like the Marvel films? Are you excited about Indy 5? The new one?
Depends. Well, we'll see. We'll see when the trailer releases. We'll see what it looks like. But it wasn't over infused with the fourth installment.
Right.
It's always to us. It's always just an indie trilogy.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Looking forward to Bond. Really looking forward to that.
Dude, I can't wait. Cannot wait. Because people have said there's been a few people that said it's one of the greatest Bond movies ever made. That it's epic. It looks epic.
I mean, the trailer looks great.
The new trailer was epic too, and like So, by the way, I did get a few more super chats pop up because I use this software, and 200 watts. It's funny. 200 Watt Studio says, Rob, actually, you did miss one of my super chats, and right after that, a super chat of his showed up that I didn't read. That says, Rob, regarding editing Tango Shalom, after spending years editing shots and scenes, when you saw the full film in the theater, did it seem way shorter to you? Actually, I have to say, it seemed different to me. I wouldn't say shorter, but watching Tango Shalom in the theater, so for those of you who don't know, I did produce and edit a film that's playing in theaters. It's going to open all across Russia in the next couple weeks, which is crazy. We didn't do very well in Canada because we had no marketing budget, but it's opening this weekend in Miami and Palm Springs. But I hadn't seen the movie, like I'd never looked at it in a theater before, not a big regular theater, and it felt like a whole different movie. Like I said earlier, it was when you work on a movie, you work on it like on a computer like this, a small screen. There were things that I saw in the movie I'd never seen before simply because it was bigger, but it didn't seem shorter. It just seemed different. And I was really surprised at how much I was like, this really works. I mean, obviously, there's things I can't change in terms of milieu, performances, or whatever. But when I looked at it in the theater, I was like, this is pretty good. Like I said, I was like, wow, okay. I mean, you got to stick with it. If you make it through the first 20 minutes, you'll be with it till the rest of the movie. But, it's a very interesting thing because when you're working on a film, you don't look at it. I mean, it seems strange, but you're not watching it. You don't sit back and go, okay, I've changed this scene. Let me watch the entire movie again. No, you work in it. You work at a micro level, and then when you can watch it at a macro level, it's always interesting. But it's so funny to me that people are still going. So it's been great to get all the support.
Tango Shalom end up being a whining about movies topic? Since you and Elizabeth saw it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I couldn't. Elizabeth has always loved the movie, and she's been there mostly every step of the way. Like, we had started dating already. As a matter of fact, we've been dating for the better part of a year when I got Free Enterprise, when I got Tango Shalom to work on. And it was interesting. To work on it. And it's funny because a lot of the film we edited in our house. And even out here where I'm talking to you in the Robservatory, I mean, that movie was edited in multiple locations. And we literally, where I used to stream from when I first started this show was where Gabe and I would work on Tango Shalom. And we worked on it for hundreds and hundreds of hours in what was at that time our laundry room, which is now Elizabeth's studio. But, it's nuts. It's just crazy. I never want to work that way again. But hey, it's in theaters, which is cool. But yeah, so.
A little movie that could.
Twin Flick says, I sent a tip and a comment. Did you get it? I did get it. And I just hadn't gotten to it yet. Twin Flicks, Paul from Twin Flicks says, I am not big on musicals, and the only reason I will go see it is because it's a Spielberg film, and I want to see how he handles it, how he handles the film. Spielberg is the GOAT, making me go see a musical. By the way, huge congrats on the Tango Shalom success. Well, Paul, thank you. I can't believe it. I mean, it's bizarre to me that Tango Shalom is, look, to have a movie in theaters for this day and age, and we're going to be into week 3 and week 4. We know we're still going into theaters. I mean, it's not a big release. We had 4 screens in New York, and we had a great per screen average, and now it's playing. I just got a list of where we should go next. They want to send it to Ohio, and they want to send it to Virginia, and I'm like, we should just go. Why not? You know, the whole thing is word of mouth on the internet. People, I notice on my Facebook page, no one even responds to anything I post on my own Facebook page. No likes, nothing, because it's all Tango Shalom. And I'm sure people have like unsubscribed, defriend, you know, because they're sick of it. But if I don't do it, who's going to do it? You know, we don't have a marketing budget, so it's only up to us.
I think from the word of mouth, it's doing great. I mean,
yeah,
whoever does those voiceovers deserves a.
Oh, you like that voiceover guy? yeah,
Yeah,
he gets paid a lot. He gets paid a lot.
Yeah.
Do you know that Jose, the star of Tango Shalom, had no idea? We were talking, and I go, "Hey, do you like those 30-second commercials?" He's like, "Those are great. Who's the guy that you got to voice those?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You know, the guy who did the voiceover for those commercials." I'm like, I thought he was pulling my leg. I'm like, "Jose, are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, who did that?" I'm like, "I did." And he was like, "What?" I'm like, we don't have any money. What? We don't have any money to pay a voiceover artist. Where do you think that money's going to come from? I did it. He didn't know. I am the voice of the XFL cheerleaders, after all. So, pod racing, let me ask you this. Do you and your brother still go see movies together?
Yeah, obviously not as often as we used to due to the pandemic last year. I think the last film I saw was, unfortunately, The Rise of Skywalker in the cinema.
Yeah.
But now things have reopened. I'm planning to see Shang-Chi. And,
you gotta go.
Bond comes out at the end of the month, and we want to see that.
I mean, you get Bond, by the way, 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I had tickets April of 2020. I had my favorite tickets in my favorite theater. And that theater is it's a Hollywood landmark. It's closed. It's not open. And I lost my tickets, and I didn't get to see. Nor did I get a refund. And so I am dying. You know, in 2012, I flew to the UK specifically just for fun to see Skyfall in Leicester Square. I always wanted to go to the Odeon Cinema in Leicester Square because that's where all the Bond movies would open. And I'm like, I always saw press since Octopussy in '83. I went to all these press screenings, and I'm like, I want to go see a Bond movie with real people that are total fans, and it's the 50th anniversary of the James Bond film franchise. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go stay at my favorite hotel. I'm gonna go stay at St. Martin's Lane in the West End, and I'm at the Ian Schrager Hotel that's right up from Trafalgar Square, where I can walk to where the Odeon is, and I can walk there from the hotel, and I'm going to go. And I did. I went and saw Skyfall in that was in 2012. That was the last time I was in the UK. And I was thinking
a little. Sorry.
No, I was thinking about
a little story back from. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
From
sorry.
1999. We flew out to LA. Me and my friends and my brother all went out to watch The Phantom Menace because the US got it months before we did.
Where did you go see it? At the Chinese?
We did, yes, at the Chinese. And it was good. We enjoyed it. We had a good time. But while we were out there, we saw The Mummy. And then one morning, we were a bit of a loose end, scouring through the papers. And a friend said, "Oh, you know, we like Star Trek. Shall we go and see this film?" And we went to a little film called Free Enterprise. And boy, we had a blast. It was a great time. Really good.
Wow. I have a picture. I can't believe this. Mark Altman and I went Century City. They don't have these theaters anymore. There were these huge marquees. Huge, and it was Phantom Menace and Free Enterprise. So we're just like, what? Well, gosh, you saw it in a theater in L.A. That was a rare occurrence.
Yeah.
Because not many people saw it in a theater.
Yeah, it was great. I would recommend that film to anyone. We had a really, really good time.
Well, hopefully.
In fact, I'll probably put it better than Phantom Menace.
Oh, wow. Can I quote that? Can I quote? Pod Racing Palpatine says, better than Phantom Menace. Well, I'm glad you liked it. I mean, it's funny because it's kind of a lost movie. You know, the last time it came out on home video was in 2006, and it's kind of been sitting on a shelf. And our executive producer, who owns it, we've approached him a couple of times. I think it would do really well because a lot of people don't know about it. You know, it like I've talked about on my own show, pop culture lasts 20 years, and the film came out in 1999 with Phantom Menace, actually. So it was not open in LA very long, but you were in that sweet spot and came over. And people just don't know it. It needs. I mean, I've actually done a new version of it that's cleaned it up, tightened it up, not really changed anything. You would never know that I changed anything. But, yeah, I'd love it to come out. Although there's some problematic... I might get canceled over some of the scenes in the movie. There might be things people are like, you can't say... Like, there's a Woody Allen, Mia Farrow joke that will not play today. And I'm not going to change it either. You know, I'm not going to change it. But it's a little rough. So a lot of people, but I'm glad you liked it, and I'm glad. Thanks for going to see it in the theater. Love it.
No, you're welcome. It was good. I mean, who wouldn't want to see Bill Shatner doing Shakespeare? It was
that's what I thought. Apparently, a lot of people, because not many people went and saw it in the theater, but no one knew it was there. What are you gonna do? You know, it's funny. In 2010, we were gonna make this. We were 2 days away from shooting the sequel, and to this day, I mean, Shatner's now 90, but I think our sequel script is actually really good. I wanted to make that movie so bad. We had the best cast, Malcolm McDowell. We had Pam Grier. I mean, it's going to be epic. And we never made it, unfortunately.
Do an animated version.
I was thinking about that. I was actually because, we'd have to pay people less. and it would be doing an animated version. Actually, that kind of appeals to me because I think that it could be done well. But yeah. So, what did you think of the entire Star Wars prequel trilogy? Because I gotta tell you, I liked Attack of the Clones, and everyone hates it. I'm like, why do you hate Attack of the Clones?
That's my least favorite.
Everyone hates it.
Least favorite one.
People hate it. I hate it.
It's supposed to be this sort of mystery, Obi-Wan on a mystery, but it's not really. Someone just points his direction, go that way, and then there's a big fight at the end.
I love the big fight at the end. That's why I love it. I love that.
Oh, I love that, but
it's great.
The whole bit before is a bit slow, and the clunky love scene dialogue.
Oh, terrible. It's just, yeah, it's just...
But I look back on one with fondness, and I don't mind Jar Jar. He's not that bad. And 3, I loved episode 3. It was really good. Yeah. Again, we went out to LA midnight show at the ArcLight.
Oh, and, you know what? I was actually working on Superman Returns when Revenge of the Sith opened, and they shot it at Fox Studios where we were working, and half the crew of Superman Returns worked on Revenge of the Sith, so they organized a screening for all of us. So Bryan Singer and the entire crew of Superman Returns, we went over in the morning before, I think it was the morning before it opened, and we all watched Revenge of the Sith together, and it was pretty fun. I mean, it was a lot of fun watching it with half the crew and half the cast and crew. So that was
we did a midnight show, a 3:30 show, and I think an 11 a.m. And by the time the 11 a.m. came along, me and a friend we fell asleep.
Yeah, I mean, you can't stay up all night.
Probably people in that crowd watching, thinking the film's not that bad. But there we were, sort of nodding.
So, where in the UK are you?
I am in the middle of Buckinghamshire, a little village, just hidden away, just outside of Aylesbury.
Which how far are you from Manchester or London or any of the...
London's my closest major city. It's about 40 miles. 40 miles away.
That's like driving from Pasadena to LA. Come on, man. All right, so where are you going to go see No Time to Die? You got to go to Leicester Square for me. Come on, go to the Odeon. Or go to the IMAX. See it in IMAX.
Oh yeah.
You got to drive. It's only 40 miles. That'll take you. How fast can you drive? You get there.
London's only about an hour away.
Can you take the train?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, just take the train. Go do it for me. Go see it in IMAX. Go see it opening day. Go see it on the 30th, and I'll be there with you in spirit. And then call this show up immediately and give me a review.
I'll post up some selfies outside.
I'm actually gonna call. I'm gonna call for all of my UK fans, you included. Anybody who watches this show, as soon as I want to have a live No Time to Die, or No Time to Die. Yeah, that's right. It's not Die Another Day. No Time to Die. I want to have a No Time to Die UK reaction stream where I have fans come on from the UK. I expect Dean Mikitich, Emma Bannon, you, anyone else who's in the UK to go see the first show of No Time to Die and then come on this show and talk about it. No, spoiler free. Don't spoil it. But I just want to know what you guys think. Come on, man. You can do that. Commit. You got to come in. Bring your brother.
He's a bit further away from London than I am, but yeah.
Yeah, just have him call in. It's fine. What do you think, Tom? Wouldn't that be good?
That would actually be really good. Definitely.
I know. I mean, Terrier is seeing Dune probably right now, so I'm going to get the Norway contingent getting me the Dune review tomorrow. Very excited about that.
I watched a spoiler-free review of Dune, and it was from a priest. And
is that the priest who does his videos outside the Vatican?
No, I think he's in Belgium or something like
okay.
that. But he speaks English. He saw it, and he said it's to see it in 3D. It doesn't seem like it'd be worth the money to see it in 3D, but it is epic. It is massive. The music is so grand that goes with it. And he said it's awesome, and it's very much true to the book. But in some ways, they changed it up a little bit to make it a little bit easier to understand.
Right.
But it's not like where it's going to upset people. But he said it is a great movie. And that for someone who's never read the books, it will bring you right into it. And you'll completely understand it. It's made for that kind of accessibility.
I can't wait. I mean, between Dune, No Time to Die, and The Eternals, these are three movies. My excitement for all three of them is off the charts.
Oh yeah, and Cry Macho too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as excited, but it looks great. I mean, I always watch anything that Clint Eastwood does. But in terms of I think that Dune, No Time to Die, and The Eternals. I think The Eternals is going to be one of the more thoughtful. I think people are going to be completely taken aback by what that movie actually is, because it's not.
Have you heard anything about Eternals?
I have not heard anything about it other than as far as I know, no one's seen it. It hasn't been shown to anyone. But if the plot is what I think it is, I think it's going to be a really interesting movie. Very different from anything the Marvel Cinematic Universe has ever done. But there's going to be a lot of people.
Fan of the director at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, she's coming off of Nomadland. She's coming off an Oscar win of Best Director. And it's funny because Kevin Feige tapped her to direct Eternals before Nomadland was done. So once again, he knew.
Yeah.
He
got his finger on the pulse.
He knows. That guy knows. When I saw Black Panther at the Hollywood Bowl with John Campea with a live orchestra, and Feige introduced it, and that was amazing. It was amazing. But I'm a fan.
Yeah, they don't do things like that out now. I wish they did.
Yeah, no, it was incredible. I loved it. So, what do you think, Pod Racing Palpatine? What are you looking forward to till the end of the year?
Well, just at the moment, just the Bond film. I've not really looked at the calendar of what he's coming forward.
What about Top Gun 2, Maverick? It's going to come out of November. They've pushed it now until May.
I was never really a fan of the first one.
Okay, well, that's fair.
You've got to applaud Tom Cruise for the dedication and work he puts into it. So it could be worth a watch.
What do you think about the Mission Impossible franchise?
Could be worth. I like those. I do.
I do
thought
too.
the last one was really good with Henry Cavill.
Oh, it was so good.
Oh, I thought it was excellent. So, I mean, he was recently in my hometown, Birmingham, filming. So, supposed to be filming the new Mission.
Yeah,
Impossible
I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. I mean, they just wrapped Mission Impossible 7. They're going to do Mission Impossible 8. That'll probably be the last movie that Paramount makes for theatrical release as they change up their business model and start. That. Oh, man. Oh,
it's amazing that the insurance people let Cruise do the stunts that he does.
Yeah, I'll bet you they have to get that Cruise has to sign a waiver. Like the insurance companies will be like, look, we'll pick up. By the way, Paramount's in a dispute with them for COVID close downs, force majeures, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
But I think that from a production standpoint, they'd probably say, okay, we'll insure you, but Tom Cruise's stunt, if he's going to do these things, we can't accept that because he's doing things that put his life at risk. I mean, no insurance company worth their salt's going to be like, there's a reason why there's stunt people. You know, and the fact is, like a Mission Impossible Fallout, when he broke his ankle, and you see that, he broke his ankle on a stunt, and then they have to close down production or whatever. That's not something the insurance company is going to be like, yep, that's why we're going to shut down. They're like, no. So I'm sure there was some kind of a waiver with that. But who knows?
And from what Campia said, I guess the director said, if you think that the stunt they're doing in 7 is great, wait till you see 8. So it's like, yeah, Tom Cruise, either he's got a death wish or he's just a thrill seeker.
Well, you know, I think that he's, you know, I've talked about on the show, I did meet him once, and we actually had almost an hour-long conversation because there was nothing he could do but talk to me. He was trapped. And I have to say, he's one of the more impressive people. The two actors that I've met in my life that I've talked to at length that I was very taken by was Hugh Jackman on the set of X-Men 2 and Tom Cruise when I met him right before a screening of Valkyrie. And it was really interesting because, so I went with two friends of mine, my friend Sean, who's no longer with us, and then my friend Mary Forrest, who at the time I was dating. And we went to the screening in the morning, and we're in a screening room, and we're waiting. LA has lots of screening rooms. They're not movie theaters, but they're in like post-production facilities, and we're at this screening room, and Brian Singer called me up and goes, hey man, you got to come to the screening. I'm like, okay. So we go there, and the three of us are just waiting. We're the first people there, and Tom Cruise, Katie Holmes, and Suri walk in. And Tom was like looking around as he doesn't know us, and he knows he doesn't know us. He's like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, hey, how are you? You know, I introduce everyone, and I say that I'm Brian Singer's documentarian. I've worked with him on 4 previous movies. And he's like, oh, great. And I said to him, I just said, since he's there, I was like, hey, man, can I ask you a question? And he's like, he didn't know what I was going to say. And I said, listen, I told him, I said, I've been a fan of yours since you did Risky Business in '83, director Paul Brickman. And, you know, I followed your career, and I'm a huge fan of the work that you do. And I said, I have a question. With all of your great collaborators, what is it that makes you decide who to work with? Is it the material or is it the filmmaker? And he looked at me, and his eyes lit up, just lit up. And he was like, yeah, man, no one's ever asked me that before. That is a great question. And suddenly his eyes were focused in on me, and we just started talking. And I was speaking extemporaneously about his whole career. I asked him about the Fire on Legend, and he just couldn't believe how much, because I was not trying to sell something. This is all for my own edification. And I'm like, no one else is here. And until someone is going to show up, I have Tom Cruise to myself, one-on-one, for like, and as it turned out, like almost an hour. And it was very funny because then Brian finally comes in because they postponed the screening an hour, which we didn't know. So Brian comes in, and Brian stands like in the middle of us, and he's just kind of listening because he's seen my shtick before. He's seen me interview people before. And Brian's like, he's just watching. And Tom Cruise is like, I really like this guy. Really, he knows his stuff. And Brian's like, yep, he does. This is what he does. It was amazing. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that hour-long time I spent talking, 45 minutes to an hour that I spent talking to Tom Cruise. It was amazing. It was just amazing because it would never, ever happen again, because it was the kind of thing where we're both waiting for a screening, so everybody was disarmed, and he knew I had no agenda. And when I didn't ask him about anything other than his work, because I'm never going to delve into someone's personal life, he was totally open and honest and had so many interesting things to say about the business. He's a really smart guy. I don't think he's entirely self-actualized as a person, because, you know, when he became a movie star very early on, so he didn't get to, like, hang out and go have it. Like, you couldn't just go to Europe and go meet chicks all around in France and Spain and Germany and Italy. He couldn't do that because he was already famous. So, you know, he had to deal with fame and fortune, which stunts anyone's growth. But of all the people I met in Hollywood, he was, as Darth Vader said, impressive. Most impressive.
You know, I think I get why they moved Top Gun to, what is it, Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah, they pushed it. That means it's 2 years away from when it was going to open originally.
Yeah, but Memorial Day weekend is perfect because it's one of the weekends where you're dealing with the remembering the heroes.
Oh,
and there you go.
It's
military,
perfect.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. I mean, I think it looks great. The photography looks great. Well, listen, gentlemen, I am going to pull the plug on the stream and go to bed. I wanted to talk about Spielberg tonight, and I want to thank you both for being here. Tom, always a pleasure to see you. Pod Racing Palpatine. Oh, look at that! Look at that! You've got the you know, I've got my the very first premium action figure I ever bought. I want to say it was like late 90s. This is not Hot Toys quality, but it's still a pretty great figure. This was put out by a company called Toys McCoy, and it was the first. When this came out, it was like $300, but it does have this, and it is solid metal. So, and he does carry it around in his pouch, and I do have a Hot Toys figure of this, but there's something about this figure, the fact that this was my first premium figure. I love this figure, and the face sculpt is not the greatest, but it's still a pretty great figure. I love it.
I got Agatha.
Oh, can you believe they won an Emmy for that song?
I know.
How cool is that? You know,
and
it's
later
funny.
Today I get Wanda. I get Wanda where she's in her suit and she's got the book open.
I need to put Indiana Jones. Maybe I'll put him in the Millennium Falcon cockpit. You know,
that'd be cool. Indy with Chewie.
Yeah. Well, what's great is I finally, now that I've moved this in here and I can plug it in, I can finally put. I have my 2-pack, my Harrison, my Han Solo and Chewbacca, A New Hope 2-pack figures that I've never opened, because the only way you could get the white headphones for the Falcon was from that set. So
you put that in there because what, Elizabeth was playing around with it?
No, I just had it out. I had it out where I had plugged in, where I opened it up because there was no room to open up the giant box here.
I saw that video. That's huge.
Dude, it's so big, but lit up. How great does it look lit up?
Beautiful.
It's unbelievable. And I waited 2 years to get it. It's and it's great. You know, I paying it off over time. It was like it cost me nothing.
When do you get that Playmobil Enterprise?
I don't know. As says, it comes out on the 23rd. Martino Silmoni, who bought it for me, he got his already. And I suspect, because of some of the, at the port of LA where a lot of boats came in. I don't know if you were watching the stream where I show a picture. There was 43 large container ships parked off of the LA coast waiting to dock and unload their cargo.
And the majority of them have your Hot Toys.
Yeah, yes. Well, it's funny because I have many that I've paid for, my Maja cases, that just, I haven't received them. I mean,
as you go down to the port, give me my Hot Toys.
I know. Come on, man. Give them to me. I want them now. Give me my toys. but Jazz Inc. can get this stuff here pretty quick. So, yeah, this might be the coolest accessory ever. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. But they're making, I mean,
Well, Rob,
their 66 Batmobile.
ooh.
Oh yeah, I mean, they Jazzing. It's interesting. I mean that I've been paying that off for 2 years, but then they're now an official licensee, so they're making the 66 Batmobile. They already made the 6-scale Justice Mobile from Batman v Superman. They're doing a 6th-scale Snowspeeder from Empire Strikes Back. I mean, I can't even begin to think how big that's gonna be. It's 1-to-1. I mean, it's huge. They're doing a 1-to-1 scale Batwing from Batman '89. I mean, that is gigantic. It's huge. And I'm like, I gotta have it though.
Well, Rob, it has been a pleasure hanging out with you and talking about Spielberg with you.
No, thank you. And Pod Racing Palpatine, thanks for going to see Free Enterprise back in 1999. That was exciting.
You're welcome.
And Tom, it's always fun to be here hanging out with you, sir. And
Yes.
one day I'm going to come on the Discord server and hang out with you guys. And Pod Racing Palpatine, you got to go into London. You got to go see No Time to Die at the, well, go to the IMAX theater because it was shot in IMAX. But if not, I mean, the Odeon Cinema in Leicester Square is kind of like James Bond's home theater. That's where they've had all of the, it's like the home team. It's like if you love Tottenham Hotspur, you know, wherever they play. Or Crystal Palace. I mean, they all have their places they play, right? What is it called? Your home field?
Your home ground.
Your home ground. There you go. Your home ground. I mean, that's kind of what the Odeon Cinema in Leicester Square is. It's Bond's home ground. So you got to go, man, and take pictures and make videos on your phone and send them in. I'll play them all.
Definitely. Want to go down and go and see the DB5 in its corgi box.
Oh man, I got to put my DB5 together. I've got the 1/8 scale Eagle Moss. I haven't built it. I got all the pieces now, and I haven't put it together.
Have you seen the one in London? They got a full size DB5.
I know. Is that the Bonded Motion exhibit?
I'm not sure exactly. I think it is down there, but it's moving shortly.
Yeah, they're bringing it here. They're bringing it to the Peterson Automotive Museum here in Los Angeles, right across the street from the Motion Picture Academy Museum that's opening, which is great. By the way, Black Jack Hooligan sends in a super chat and says, "I love this show." And you, Rob? Well, thanks, man. I'm going to go watch Rear Window for the first time. Oh, my God. As well as catch up on the other Hitchcock classics, Psycho, Vertigo, and The Birds. I would assume Blackjack Hooligan, you're going to watch those in 4K. Let me just tell you that people have asked me if you could marry one girl from a movie, like if you were going to fall in love with a character from a movie, who would it be? I think at the top of my list would be Grace Kelly's character from Rear Window. You'll see why. But a woman that can pack an overnight bag with that kind of military precision deserves our love. That's all I'm saying. She's incredible. Well, gentlemen, ladies, kind souls, gentle beings, however you identify across these 28 known galaxies, the Midnighter, now 2 weeks in a row. This is Midnighter, what is it, 32? 32, talking about Spielberg. It's great to have you here. I want to thank my moderators, the Richard and Bunyan Snipe. Apparently, I've been taking ganders at the chat that it's been a little rough out here. A little rough in the chat. People have been, you do these late night streams. People get hammered. It gets a little rough. But Bunyan, the Richard, thank you for all that you do. I want to thank people for supporting the channel via super chats and tips. Thank you so much. Thank you for becoming members of the channel. As you know, if you're a member of the channel, one of the things we do is bi-weekly chats, Zoom chats with the membership. And I'm going to expand those things. I'm going to start doing some members-only streams that only members will have access to. And you can become a member of this channel for 99 cents a month. And it's fun seeing all of you guys and girls and people and everyone. So thank you all for that. I want to thank Pod Racing Palpatine and Tom Jr. Jackson for being here. Gentlemen, yes, I would say, as the prisoner would say, be seeing you if you are a fan of the prisoner. So thank you all for being here. And I am going to sign off. I'm going to be on the Critical Drinkers channel tomorrow with Gary from Nerdrotic and with Mahler. And we are specifically going to talk about Picard, the Picard Season 2 trailer. And, of course, Tango Shalom, the film I edited and produced, will open all across Miami and the South Beach area. It opens in Palm Springs. It continues to run in Los Angeles and New York, and it opens in Scottsdale, Arizona. So if you're around, tell your friends. I know it's not the normal bill of fare for imagination connoisseurs, but hey, every little bit helps with our little movie that could. So thank you all for being here. It's fun to do the Midnighter again, and maybe I'll do more. And you know, someone asked, I saw someone in the chat asking if this was pre-planned. I don't pre-plan this at all, but there are people I'd like to reach out to and get them back on the show. So, like Jeremiah. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. And on that note, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen. And with that, I would say to all of you, have a better night.